Hi everyone, in this video I want to show you how to create tentacles like these with geometry nodes in Blender 3.1. Now let's go. So in a new Blender project I'll remove default light and cube and hide camera for now. In a new collection I'll create a Bezier curve. The cool thing about Bezier curves is that I can use pencil tool to draw curves in the viewport. So I will use it as a starting point. Now let's switch to geometry nodes layout and with the Bezier curve selected, create a new geometry node setup. Now I'm ready for modeling. So the first thing I want to do is to convert curve to mesh. To give it a desired shape, I'll add curve circle primitive and plug it into the profile curve socket. Drop the resolution to 6 vertices and decrease circle radius to something around 0.3. To avoid any defects along the mesh, I'll resample the curve with length option selected in the dropdown and tweak the length to get a desired result. To see what exactly happening with topology of the mesh, I'll enable wireframe overlay. Okay, it is time to shape this mesh into a tentacle-like. For this, I want it to be thinner in the top and thicker in the bottom. I will add set curve radius node right here and use spline parameter as a radius based on the curve factor. I'll add float curve to tweak the factor value to get the shape I want. I can even add more points in between to get more interesting bending. Now I will add subdivision surface node and increase the level to meet the desired poly count. Set shade smooth to get smooth shading. Now before selections and modeling and stuff, I want to create a few materials right now. It will help me to see what I'm doing with the mesh. So I'll set only viewport display colors for now. I will assign 2 materials, skin for the back and the front of the tentacle. Second material overrides the previous one. To make it work, I need to make selection for each of the materials. While doing so, I'll turn down subdivision surface. I want to select columns of faces of the mesh, so I'll use capture attribute node for the curve circle. I'll use spline parameter again. Plug in index into the value to capture index of each point of the curve circle. It is not necessary to push the attribute through combine XYZ in this particular case, but I'll do it just in case I would want to combine it with other attributes later, for example to generate UV map or something. Now I'll plug the capture attribute into the compare node and use the result as the selection for my second skin material. Each point with index value greater than my input value here is going to be my selection. I want also to get selection for opposite points, so I'll add another compare node and use it for first skin material. Both of these values should be the same, so I'll connect them to a single value node. Now I want to turn vertices into faces and faces into vertices with dual mesh node. This will generate additional faces as well as make my selections the selections of faces instead of vertices. I'll add extrude mesh node. and check individual to extrude all faces of the mesh connected. I want to extrude only the green part of the mesh. That is why I will use same selection as for the material. I'll set offset scale to something around 0.1. I'll extrude mesh again and use the opposite selection here to extrude inner part of the tentacle. Now I'll crank up the subdivision surface level only to see that my mesh looks like a deformed avocado piece. To make it look like a tentacle, I need to add some suckers. For this, I will use extrude scale extrude method. Add another extrude node, and for selection use the top faces from previous extrude. I'll set it to individual and offset scale to 0. Now to scale top faces, I'll add scale elements node and scale the top faces of the extrusion. Something around 0.5 looks good to me. Since I'll be doing this over and over again, I want to group both extrude and scale elements nodes to reuse it later. I'll add all required sockets to group output and group input to use them outside of the group. Now I'll rename this group and use it again with different selection and scale settings to extrude individual faces, forming suckers along the tentacle. To inset the faces, I'll add extrude group again with offset scale set to 0 and face scale to around 0.7. Now I want to make the holes. I'll add another extrude group, but this time I want to extrude faces inside. For this I want to flip the faces. Luckily, there is a node for that. With combination with a switch node, I can make this flip faces operation optional. To do so, I'll add switch socket to the group input to use it outside. Connect mesh values into true and false with and without flip faces node. Switch output should go to the extrude mesh. Now this group should be updated everywhere. And when switch checkbox selected, extrusion is going to be flipped. To not forget the purpose of this checkbox, I'll rename it to flip faces inside the group. Now since we have flipped faces of the mesh, all the faces will be facing inside. To verify that, I'll enable face orientation overlay. All faces colored in red are facing inside, blue outside. To fix that, I'll update extrude group with another flip faces node with the same switch condition. Looks like the modeling part is done and I can turn subdivision surface back on. After a couple of tweaks, I'll draw a few additional curves in mesh edit mode to see how it all works. Now I can see that I'll need to do a few adjustments for more natural look. First of all, I want to make sucker's length smaller towards the end of the tentacle. For this, I will capture factor as an attribute for the base curve. Adjust it with a float curve and multiply by offset scale, which is length of the suckers. To make it work as intended, I'll make some adjustment to the float curve. Now I want to randomize a couple of settings. So we'll add random value nodes for different parts of the mesh. Back skin, front skin, size of tentacles, etc. I will also play with the seed to find the best settings. Before I switch to material editor, I will assign another material for the inner faces of the suckers. As for the selection, I'll use one of the top faces from extrude nodes. Now I'll go to shading layout. I want to switch render engine to cycles. I don't really want to build lighting as part of this video, so I'll use HDRI, which I've downloaded from Polyheaven. For the first material, I'll decrease the roughness to achieve that wet surface look. For the color, I want to get something between pink and salmon with subsurface set to something around 0.25. I'll add noise texture with a large scale, adjust the levels with color ramp, and use the bump node to generate normal map. Adjust the strength of the bump to get desired result. For the backside of the tentacle, I will also decrease the roughness. For the color, I want to mix shades of green with a Musgrave texture for the subsurface color and light green for the base color. I'll use the noise texture again to generate normal map. Maybe combine it with Musgrave texture with another bump node. For the inner faces of the suckers, I'll make similar material to the first one, with a few adjustments and darker tones. And that's about it. You can download this project file on Ko-fi or itch.io, all links are in the description. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care, bye bye.